Hey everybody, it's Shadowstar and Crystal here for a brand new review series. It has been a long time, hasn't it? But we are here to review the very first episode of Smallville, which you've not really seen before.
Yeah, years and years ago I watched the first 2 episodes and then got bored, so yeah.
Meanwhile, for context, I've watched the entire goddamn show. That is 218 episodes. But I've only watched through it once. So, who knows? But yeah, anyway, let's get on with it already.
Well, that was interesting.
Yes.
Where to begin?
Well, the show begins. Did you notice, despite the show having an intro, this episode actually forgoes the intro for the first episode?
Oh, yeah.
Which actually sets it up nicely.
It showed space for like a second and then quickly went to the cornfield.
Yeah. Almost looks like the opening of Rose where it just pans down to Earth.
Yeah.
But anyway, this show is made in 2001 and it reeks of the early 2000s. In a good way, kind of.
I guess so.
You get the 2000s nostalgia, but it sets up all the stuff you're going to see in season 1, the good, the bad, the ugly. So anyway, let's start, not with our main character, because that's not where the show starts. The show starts with my favourite character, who actually only has a small appearance in this episode. We start with Lionel Luthor and Lex.
Oh, yeah. Because they expect that some viewers might have Superman knowledge, because obviously.
Well, yeah, because there's been a few movies and whatnot.
Lex Luthor is known for being a villain, but this version of him, they're clearly showing us that he's not a bad guy. He's got a crappy parent.
Well.
And one that doesn't seem to exist so far.
I honestly can't even remember if they ever explain what happened to Lex's mother. And probably does get brought up at some point, but mysteriously, he doesn't have a mother. Because why bother giving us? Because that would make life interesting.
Yeah, because there's what's her name in Supergirl. They have
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, there's not Lena. Lena's the
Lillian,
sister.
but that's Supergirl.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I know it's a different canon, but I will probably still end up comparing some stuff to Supergirl because that is the main source of Superman knowledge that I have.
Yeah. Well, anyway, while we're on with Lex, there's a lot to talk about with Lex. Obviously, there's the opening. Obviously, there's the whole opening scene that gives us our inciting incident before we flash to the present, which, sets up basically how the whole show's going to impact everything. Despite it being Superman and not certain other superheroes we might watch, some of it still follows a very similar format when you get down to it.
Yeah, everything's caused by the meteor thing, which is not just meteors, but it brought him.
Yeah. So, yeah, on one hand, you've got the opening episode, which is great. It's an opening episode. It sets up all their characters. It's got that 2000s vibe. It's got that horrible American vibe. But it also but then the ending just kind of reminds you, get used to this. This is kind of what you should expect. One villain of the week. Get used to it. This is, and I say this with a lot of shows, other than the first episode, Smallville Season 1 isn't the best thing in the world. It's alright, and it's not horrible by any means, but I feel like, and this is the case with so many shows I can think of, where I say like, Season 1 feels very much just kind of by the books format, and then the really good plots kick in.
I can understand why younger me got bored after 2 episodes. That being said, I don't hate it right now, and I'm not going to stop us from continuing.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, that's the case with a lot of shows. I mean, come on, like, even season 1 of, like, Steven Universe, at least for the first half, it's just kind of random one-off things for the most part. Yeah. And, like, you get to other shows, like Code Lyoko, just a one-off Xander attack. Lucifer, just a one-off villain. Like, everything is just a one-off thing. But this show does have grandstanding plots, but for the first season, it's just kind of this one-off thing with just the very slight hint of a background story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So back to Lex. So, like, people who have seen Superman stuff before, they might have expected him to be more of a villain, but he seems like a good guy. He doesn't seem like... I guess maybe in later seasons, don't tell me anything, he could become a season-long villain if he finds a reason to hate Clark, because at the end, he does have, I am going to call it kryptonite.
Yeah, we'll cut the corners. We know it's kryptonite. Spoiler alert, it's fucking kryptonite.
Right from when we first see it, they zoom in on her necklace because they know that people know Superman. They see the color green, they'll figure it out.
I do like that cinema moment where, like, they're like, oh, Clark's clumsy, you see him trip, and then it cuts to the kryptonite.
Yeah. They start off, moving on to Lana, they start off making that joke of, he can't talk to the girl he likes, but it's because all these years she's had a kryptonite necklace.
Yeah, that is a cool little tidbit, but
also that not being able to talk to her thing might change because she no longer has it. She gave it to her shitty boyfriend to borrow, and he didn't give it back.
Speaking of formats that feel just like season 1, we have Lana, who, spoiler alert, sorry, I'm not going to repeat this too much, but I really don't like Lana. And you can probably guess why.
She's the love interest that he wants, and she probably stays with a shitty boyfriend for too long.
It's almost like this is just like certain other superhero TV shows we've watched.
At least Eddie was likable.
That's true.
Like, yes, we all know Barry loves Iris, and so fans were like, oh, Eddie's in the way. But Eddie was not a bad guy. He's a decent guy who happens to be dating Iris. Whereas this boyfriend, they really want us to hate him, and I do hate him, because he's just a shitty person.
That's true. I guess sometimes when I say I hate Lana, I don't hate Lana as a unit. I hate just her existence and what it means for the show.
Yeah, whereas I hate the boyfriend, as in I would hate to know him in real life.
Don't worry, I don't blame you there. I hate him too. He's one of the worst characters. But yeah, there's not much to say about Lana that we haven't already been said. It's a love triangle. Clark's stalking her. He's flat out stalking her.
That's one thing. Like, okay, Clark is supposed to be our protagonist, our hero. You want him to be a morally good guy. But then you have him spying on her with his telescope.
Yeah. So anyway, obviously, there's Clark. We get, obviously, the intro scene with all that stuff. We get the iconic stuff, all that Superman stuff that's been shown in basically everything before. If you've seen one Superman moment, you've seen them all. It's just, let's do that.
One thing that bothered me when I first watched this was noticing that they sort of changed, like in most cases, he arrives as a baby, like an actual baby. Was this...
I would disagree. In the Christopher Reeves movie, he's a baby in the pod, but he's like 3 or 4 by the time he gets to Earth.
Oh.
And that's the case here. He is presumably 3 years old. I'll tell you now, he's 14, despite the fact that he doesn't look it. He's 14 at the start of the show. Because remember, it did say it was 19...
Oh, freshmen.
Well,
Freshmen are like year 9 to us.
Well, how am I going to know? I don't speak American. All they care about is playing their football with plastic bits attached to them. But that's not football anyway. Like I said, the show reeks of America. Ooh, it's a football. Ooh, Lana's a cheerleader and her boyfriend's a football player. Can you tell the show is made in America?
Yeah, not only have we got the romance of him wanting Lana, but the that other girl likes Clark.
We don't get too much into his main friends. We've got Pete and Chloe. They barely say their names. Yeah. Both of which are Pete's all right. Chloe becomes a character I really love. Fans, I imagine, have mixed opinions on her for various reasons, inside and outside the show, but I kind of like her. But that's beside the point, because we don't see her much.
When I first saw a black friend with him, my first thought was, is this James? But then I remembered, no, you're probably not supposed to meet him until living in Metropolis.
Also, in every other iteration, James is not black.
Well, that's my Supergirl kicking in.
God.
But don't know why that was what I first thought.
It'll be a long
while.
Yeah. But yeah, obviously. And then, like you said, we get to the interesting... This show loves to have that really, really interesting dynamic between Clark and Lex, because obviously we have that inciting incident with the car crash.
Yeah. And then with the truck, and then that starts the conversation of Dad doesn't like Lex because Lex's dad sucks. But that's not a reason to judge Lex.
Well, I mean...
Yes, he's a spoiled rich kid, but he's not spoiled to the point of being like a bully. Like, he's not a Draco Malfoy.
Time will tell. All you've got to go on is really this first episode. There's a lot we can unpack with Lex and his dad, but time will tell, of course.
Yeah, so far it seems like he's been pretty nice to Clark.
Well,
in
sure.
the way he knows how to. Sure, he did sort of... All he knows that he was brought up to know is, I guess, someone does something good for you, you buy them a car, I guess.
And we can't touch on Lex without at least me asking, you do know where Lex lives, right? That's the same man. As this mansion has been in a lot of stuff, it is the same mansion from Arrow. It's also the same mansion from X-Men and a few other things. You didn't tell that exterior shot. Even the interior shots is the same mansion.
It looked familiar.
Yes, that is the same mansion from Arrow and like Deadpool and a few other things. It's been a lot of stuff.
Okay.
So obviously we had to bring up that little tidbit. But yeah, obviously there's a dynamic with Lex. And well, remember, Lex was the one who found the kryptonite at the very end.
Mm.
Yeah, so he's got the kryptonite. We didn't see much of Lionel, but we'll get into him. And obviously we get the moment of, well, going back to that scene where we're talking with Clark's dad about Lex, that's also the scene that leads into Clark learning more about his origins.
Yeah.
Because that's the interesting part, is he knows he's different, but he never knew the answer.
One interesting parallel that I feel like it might not have been on purpose with the writers, but one thing I noticed is the way he was like, why didn't you tell me? And he was like, we wanted to protect you. It kind of reminds me of stories of like, when kids are neurodivergent and they go undiagnosed, I'm going somewhere here, there are certain types of parents where they don't want to get them diagnosed as kids because they think, if I don't get them diagnosed, I can pretend they're normal. But then people are like, well, we know that kids are still going to notice that they're not normal. They're just going to think, oh, I'm weird and I don't know why. And it's a bit like that. His dad could not protect him from noticing he's not normal. He still grew up thinking, okay, I'm different, I'm special, but he doesn't know why.
I would say more of, if I were in Clark's dad's shoes, I wouldn't just say, I want to protect you, because it's not just you want to protect him from outside sources. I should have said I wanted to wait till you're old enough, because you don't want to really tell a little kid you're an alien.
Yeah. It's like how some people wait till a kid's old enough to tell them they're adopted.
Yeah.
Although in this case, he did seem to already know he's adopted. He just
That's true.
Didn't question much.
We don't know if / when he found out.
Because they started saying, oh, yeah, this is something to do with your real parents. And he's like, yeah, where are they from anyway?
It's interesting. This really shows how much it's a 2000 show in the fact that, reminder, this is like the same length of an episode you would get from like Flash or Arrow or any of those shows, but the pacing definitely felt slower.
Well, because it's the first episode, they had to set up the origin story as.
But remember, it's the same length, and yet they pack in everything. They pack in the intro with all the origins and a meteor strike. Then you set up with stuff like him going to school, his dad, Lex, the inciting the car crash. Then you've still got a villain of the week crammed in at the end.
Well, at least the villain was also introduced all those years ago.
That's true.
The Scarecrow
That's
thing.
true. They set that up nicely. But yeah, they really pack a lot into this first episode. Like I said, I don't have the fondest memories of season 1. Not saying it's bad or anything. I just compared to a lot of other seasons.
It's sort of like how the first episode of Flash set up like the particle accelerator thing.
There's so much you can pack into the first. But I will say the first episode is really good. And it sets up so much, and the show takes a little bit before I begin to love it. But then again, I don't know what other people feel. It's not like it's not like Arrow where everyone loves season 1 and hates season 4. People have mixed opinions. Some people really like the early simplistic episodes, and some people love the super heavy plot element episodes you get later on. But then some people don't like the plot element episodes because they can get very all over the place. But that's a long way from now anyway. But yeah. But, for the most part, there's still a lot to enjoy in this episode. Obviously, I don't care for Lana, I don't care for her boyfriend, I don't care for the love triangle crap, I don't care for Clark being a weirdo. Also, there's this bit where he goes to the graveyard, and there's this weird scene with Lana. He's like, well, why are you here? Okay, you still didn't tell us why he's in the graveyard.
Didn't ask.
She's got a logical reason to be in a graveyard. Why was he there? He just got mad that he's different and thought, yeah, okay, I'm mad. I'll go hang out in a graveyard.
But he doesn't have any ties to the graveyard. It's not like if he went to hang out in the cornfield because that's where his pod crashed or anything.
Lana's like, oh, do you think I'm weird for talking to gravestones? No. Do you think Clark's weird for going to the graveyard when he doesn't know anyone there?
Yeah, as soon as he said to her, what's your story? And my brain thought, that's a dangerous question because once she answers, she's going to ask you.
Yeah.
And what are you going to say? And we never got that answer because she didn't actually ask.
Yeah. And, I mean, that also kind of leads into the interesting dynamic of, like, he feels responsible. Because remember, his pod crashed, and there's that bit where, like, he's looking at the newspaper on the wall, remembering that it was the meteors that killed Lana's parents.
Or like...
and then when he's talking to the villain.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He said, I did this.
Yeah, so now that he knows, he feels responsible, because that scene takes place after he learned about it all. Yeah, but overall, I mean, we both enjoyed the pilot massively. The rest of the season, well, time will tell, I guess, but the only parts I don't like are love triangle crap, but get used to it. It's a CW superhero show. Although technically speaking, it wasn't CW till season 5, because CW hadn't been invented yet. But it's the same production team, whatever. But this, I mean, look, Smallville's a very interesting show that a lot of people have nostalgia for, and I can see why. This one show feels like it's got its own universe. I mean, it does, but like it feels like it's got so much packed into it, and yet it comes from such a simple beginnings. In a way, it is kind of like the Arrowverse, in the sense of like, Arrow, especially season 1, is such a simplistic, grounded show, but then the whole...
Because the other shows didn't exist.
Yeah, and then it feels like that too, because like, yeah, this is sci-fi and all that, but I feel like season 1, comparative to like the later seasons with other characters we'll get introduced to, this is so simplistic. So yeah, but all in all, we enjoyed it. Are we doing rankings or not?
I don't know, because I have no idea what I'd give it, because I have nothing to... I don't have other episodes to compare to and have a basis.
Well, the more interesting question... Well, when you're reviewing a pilot, the simple question is, did it stick to landing, or are you like, I don't care about this show?
It's alright. I'm not going to say cancel the review series, we're done with this.
That's fair. The hard part is seeing if you can stomach 20 episodes of season 1. At least other shows I could think of have a courtesy of having a smaller season 1, but every single season is roughly 20 episodes, and there's 10 seasons of it. Again, I like the show, there's a lot of good elements, but boy is it a lot to get through if you ever decide to do the whole thing. I did do it last year. It was a lot. But yeah. But hey, like I said, the pilot itself, really good. So... like you said, we're not cancelling the review series. So on that note, we will see you next time for more Smallville.
Are we going to rank or not?
I guess not. We both said I guess... do we have to put a number on it?
Nah.
We like the review. We like it. We're definitely going to continue it. It's a good pilot. Like I said, the pilot, in my opinion, the pilot is really good. There's some weak stuff with Lana, but the intro is really good. Setting up Lex sets up a lot of intrigue. Like, even though you said he's not a villain, you can tell that there's something intriguing about the character. So, like,
Yeah, when he randomly asked, can a man fly? It's like...
it's such a random...
You're already curious about that when you have not seen...
well, no, it's such a random ass question, because at first it comes across as, ooh, this is a random question. Then it's like, oh, wait, no, I just had a coma hallucination.
Yeah, when he explained, it kind of reminded me of, like, when people have said... that, like, when people have been legally dead and they've claimed they saw the light or something like that. It's not like that. He just had a dream while he was, like, dead for a second.
And I suppose a lot of reviewers have pointed out in retrospect that, remember, Lex is at least a decent amount older. He was maybe, give it maybe 12-ish, give or take, in the early scene. And Clark is 3. So
yeah, how much older is he?
People always question it's weird that Clark and Lex have this friendship when there's at least about a decade's-year difference between the two. Why is he hanging around with a 14-year-old? I don't care if he saved your life. It's still a bit weird. But, yeah. But like I said, yeah. So like I said, there's a lot to enjoy. I love the pilot. I like the intro. Lex is an intriguing character. Obviously, we get a little bit of an intro to other characters like... Pete and Chloe, who didn't actually do much, but they become better characters later. And then his parents. Like, there's a lot of characters in this show when you think about it.
Mum didn't do much, it was more Dad.
Yeah, the characters, there's a lot. This episode did have a lot to set up, and there's a lot of characters going forward. But like I said, I enjoyed it for the most part, except all the Lana stuff, because literally, there's never a Lana... You're never going to see Lana and be like, oh, yay, a Lana scene. But, yeah, but overall, we mostly enjoyed the pilot. So, with that being said, we'll see you next time for more Smallville and other things as well. See you next time, guys.